We're back with our Voice of the Voter Forum with the 1st Congressional Districts. We want to get some questions from our viewers that we received over the last week. First one is about Social Security. So the question has to deal with the recent announcement that the cost of living adjustment for Social Security in 2025 is going to be 2.5%, hardly keeping up with inflation at that point. So a viewer wants to know, if elected, what would you do to help those on SSI make up that difference when we're looking at that 2.5% and then what it actually cost to live on that money? We'll start with Congresswoman Pingree.
Well, we have a plan in Congress right now. It was written by Representative Larson from Connecticut, and it's actually a way to deal with some of the challenges in the Social Security Trust Fund and to make sure that we actually have a better system for dealing with the cost of living increase. It would add money back into the pool by everyone's income today is capped at $168,000, so it would leave a gap between $168,000 and $400,000 in income. But over that, what would amount to about 0.4% of Americans would actually pay into the trust fund. It would make it solvent until 2100, which is one of the issues that people are dealing with. But it would mean things like the COLA. We would use a better index. Right now, the index really just deals with the food market basket, but not things like energy costs and other things that should be factored in. It would allow for an immediate Social Security increase of 2%. It would repeal WEP and GPO, which is a weird little thing that impacts only people in 17 states, including Maine, so that's a big one. And it would do a variety of other small things. But it's the best plan out there right now. It's better than raising the retirement age, and it would automatically change the system that we use that, as you were saying, really doesn't give people enough of an increase right now to deal with the cost of living.
Mr. Russell, same question. How do we cover that cap?
Increase the cap
Yes.
based upon the cost of living increases. It's very, very simple. So there's no reason why it should be capped. It should be increasing in accordance with inflation, the cost of living.
Same question, Mr. Alcorn. What's the plan for that?
Yeah, you're going to have to increase it just so people can keep up with the cost of living increases. My girlfriend is going to be on Social Security pretty soon, and I mean, it's just not. Yeah, it's not enough. So. That's what I mean by no one's gonna. I'm not here to pull the rug out from under anyone. I think that you have to take care of people for what they paid into it, and
so what's the plan when people have paid in and they're expecting that, and then there's a question that the Congresswoman mentioned out of it'll carry us through to a certain year when there's that concern about what's going to happen. How do we address that?
I mean, you're just going to have to increase it to whatever is the right amount, whatever is agreed upon to be the right amount. So, and a lot of times Republicans talk about turning it into the stock market or letting the stock market take it. That is, I'm not in favor of that at all. I think that's just way too risky. You know what I mean? That kind of talk. Have you heard that kind of stuff?
This is we're here to listen to you tonight, not me. So.
Well, I mean, I'm just throwing some ideas around here, and I don't like that one. But anyway,
I don't like it either.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. We have a point to agree on. That's actually very good.
We're agreeing.
If the system is doomed to fail, we certainly need to take a look at it. And I'm not talking about taking a look at it for any of the current recipients, but let's look at the system in the future. I know the military retirement system was changed while I was in the military. I wasn't aware of that until we started talking, when I started talking to junior officers. When I retired at 20 years, you could get 50% of your base pay. When they retired, they got 40% of their base pay, but there were other programs that they could invest money in, thrift savings plans as an example, that accounted for that difference. We need to look at Social Security, and privatizing it, I think, is what you're referring to, Ethan. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that is a bad idea. Look at the way the stock market is going here right now. People are better off managing their own money. So I think that's where we ought to go.
You mentioned the change in the military just in your time of service as well. Would you support increasing the retirement age to get those benefits?
Not for anyone who's in the system here right now, but let's be realistic. People are living longer. So for folks who are coming into the system right now, yes, they probably should expect a later retirement age.
I'd have huge concerns about that, especially in Maine. I mean, we have so many people working the trades, and if you're a fisherman or you're a carpenter or you're working in the woods every day, you don't want to wait till 70 to have to collect your retirement. So yes, we live longer, but that just means a lot of people, if they had to wait that long, they'd be working a second job or they'd be working in the service industry or something, because a lot of people just couldn't work that late in life.
Comes down to one of the basic questions that my colleague Rob Caldwell asked recently as well of, the basic solutions there are increase the age, increase how much people have to put in, or reduce the benefit, take away benefits. So,
Pay in.
Pay in more.
Absolutely.
But
Okay.
not only are we living longer, we're more healthy there as we get older. So I'm doing things that my predecessors were never able to do at my particular age. And that's the case across the board. We're much healthier at a much older age, so we're able to work longer. People asked me when I was going to retire when I had my company. I said, you're going to find me with my head on the desk here, deceased at some point in time, because there's something about work that keeps us younger, okay? So let's take that into account.
I do want to get back to a question from a viewer, and it's specifically directed toward Congresswoman Pingree with your experience. The viewer wrote to us and said, I'd like to ask Representative Pingree, pretty much everyone thinks Washington isn't working right now, which may be an exaggeration, but it's one person's perspective. She's been there 16 years. Why would she go back to be part of this system that is part of the issues we're discussing here tonight? So why go back? Why are you looking to go back?
Well, first off, I consider it a huge privilege to have the opportunity to serve. And it isn't always easy, and it doesn't always work. I would like to be in a Congress where the Republicans don't control Congress and the Democrats do. And I think we'd have a better time getting things done. It's been a particularly bad 2 years with the Freedom Caucus kind of upsetting our ability to get legislation passed and to do our work. But I do my best to focus on those things that are bipartisan and that we can get done. My goal every day is to try to get something done in Congress. I serve on the Agriculture Committee. We've been working on the Farm Bill all year. I brought the committee up here to Maine so that they could see what we do, and I brought Republicans and Democrats because that's a very bipartisan issue. I showed them our agriculture, I showed them our aquaculture, I showed them a lot of things that we're doing here. I serve on the Military Construction and VA Subcommittee of Appropriations. VA is a very bipartisan thing, and military construction is something that we've had a lot of agreement on. I work on those issues on appropriations where you can find cooperation across the aisle, where you can find other people to work with, and so many of the things that we're doing in Maine on our natural resource industries, whether it's fishing or farming, working in the woods, forestry. I mean, those things are happening in states all over the country. I got a 71 rating in the Lugar scale of bipartisan cooperation, and that's based on how many bills do you sponsor that Republicans co-sponsor, and how many times do you sign on to their bills. Well, 71's pretty good out of 435, and that tells me we're getting something done every day. We don't get every bill passed. We don't have great years every single year, and this one's been particularly jammed up. But I always look forward to the future, hope I have the privilege of serving again, and know there are a lot of things we have to keep working on, all the things we're talking about tonight. Housing.
Can I say something here?
Yes, because I'm curious to follow up with that in mind and why you're running. Why do you want to go to Congress if it's so dysfunctional?
Well, all three of us, I'm sure, can get along with other people and get things done down there. I don't doubt that at all. But I think the point is, like, what specific things have you gotten done? That's one. But before you answer that, let me say I think the system, the two-party system, is broken. And what I mean by that's why I'm running. I think the two-party system is not representing the people. Every year, both parties send us further into debt, and they don't represent the people very well. Both of your parties, you two represent parties, and you follow kind of along with those parties with what you say. I'm not representing a party. I'm just like the people who are watching. I'm a person. I'm a worker. I'm a landscaper. I work hard. You were talking about work. I agree with you. Work is the greatest thing. I know it keeps me healthy. But we can all get along down there. It's what are we getting done, and how government is being not representing the people and spending us into debt every time, and it just keeps going and going, and there's like no end to it. That's what I kind of want to throw in there. But if you wanted to answer the question about what,
we will get to Mr. Russell, but I want to give you a chance to answer his question as succinctly as possible in 16 years of what have you done?
Well, one of the things that is really unique about Congress is that it takes a certain amount of seniority to get anything done. So one of the great benefits of being there 16 years is I'm the ranking member on a subcommittee. It means I get to make a lot more decisions about spending that will come back to the state of Maine, whether it's this year. We brought a lot of money back that were for sewer and water treatment systems in shoreline districts that are having problems with the storms, or funding for education or healthcare, or many of the things that we work on. I work on a lot of issues, as I said, related to small agriculture. I think that's very responsive to my constituents. We have a lot of small to medium-sized farms. I've worked on multiple farm bills, writing more into it to make sure to support the small to medium-sized farms, farmers markets, SNAP benefits, helping people get healthy fruits and vegetables. I work on the Wood Innovations grants. That goes to a lot of programs like Timber HP, which took over the Madison Mill and is now no longer a paper mill, but now making wood fiber insulation that'll be used in housing all over the country. I mean, it's a long list of things, ocean-related things, ocean acidification bills, working waterfront bills to try to protect some of our working waterfront, particularly in developed areas where fishermen can't get a hold on land anymore. There are a lot of things that we work on and do every day, and it's an important part of what we do. And to sort of say we're following the parties, the good thing about coming from Maine is everything you do through a Maine lens is about common sense. It's about our natural resources.
Was COVID common sense?
Having an international pandemic was not common sense.
Were the lockdowns constitutional or unconstitutional?
I don't have any doubt that they were constitutional. They may not have been the best way to always deal with the problem, but we were facing something. Our country
was it part of the Constitution when our founding fathers wrote it that when a virus comes along, we'll shut down the government, we'll shut down businesses, schools, churches, and make people lock down and stay in their homes?
The government didn't shut down.
Well, okay, then.
All right, we can't go back to COVID.
I rest my case. The government is one thing last, the last thing standing.
Schools kept operating. They just had to do it in a very different way.
No, it was way overblown.
It was a tragic loss of hundreds of thousands of lives.
Mr. Alcorn, your stance is noted. Mr. Russell, I want to give you a chance to answer that question of you identified in your campaign material. You moved back in 2021 because you didn't like the direction of the government.
Correct.
Dysfunctional is my word, not your word. Right. Why go to Congress, though, if there is this feeling that Washington is dysfunctional?
Well, before I answer that question, I want to, in the words of Miles Standish, respond to you about representation and how well I'll represent the people of Congressional District 1. Speak for yourself, John Alden, okay? I've promised that every weekend that I'm available, I'll come back and hold town hall meetings and other types of events where people know what I'm doing as their congressman. More importantly, I'll know how they feel about the way I should vote in Washington, D.C. The job title is representative, and you can't do that if you don't come back and meet with the people that you represent. Now, in terms of Shelley, you said you wish the Democrats were in charge. Well, the Democrats were in charge for the first 2 years of this current administration. And we didn't get a whole lot done except a whole lot of spending. And that was where the inflation started to rise. Inflation has come down. Is that the result of the Republicans now taking office? I don't know. When you look at the Democrat platform or the Republican platform, they basically have the same planks. Okay, so we have the same interests and why we want to accomplish what it is we want to accomplish. It's the how, okay? So I'm sure the Democrats want to secure the border, okay? We want to secure the border. How we go about doing that, that's where we run into a bit of a problem. So we've had 11 million immigrants come across the border. 11 I'm using as a number, 10, 15, 20, I've heard a bunch of different numbers. These are having a significant impact on our country. We have a legal immigration system which lets in about 1 million naturalized citizens every year. That's the number that we thought we needed, and that's the number that we can absorb. This country cannot absorb 11 million people over a 3.5-year period. So, to get back to your question, I wouldn't be going down to Washington, D.C. if I didn't think I could make a difference down there. We've lost all sense of decency down there, and we pass policies or laws based upon partisan politics. any law that is passed along party lines, and there have been many, is bad legislation. I don't even need to read it. We've got to do a better job. We've got to be more decent with one another. We've got to coordinate with one another. We've got to, use a dirty word here, compromise in order to achieve what we both have as, both parties, or all parties have as goals. And I think that I can do that. Ethan mentioned it. I think all three of us don't have any problem with getting along with people. And I'm going to exploit that when I get down to Washington, D.C.